Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, you may, if you're the eagle-eyed amongst you, will spot two things. One, I'm wearing a t-shirt. Two, I'm not going to tell you that I'm wearing shorts, but I am. Three, I've got a very cool and alcoholic, I have to confess, beverage here. But don't worry, this is my first drink, so I'm not tiddled or anything. What's more, we've got it in like a child's non-spill type glass, almost. It's very hard to knock over. Famous last words, touch wood. Especially after my recent disaster with my champagne party when I moved my very tall, thin, fluted champagne glass over into the danger zone at the end of the desk here. Knocked it flying, shattering it in a million pieces. Well, actually it wasn't, it was only in about 7 or 8 pieces, but the champagne was everywhere, glass was everywhere. Trust me, it was a lot more dramatic than what it looked from your perspective. It looked like I was hamming it up. It was much worse than it seemed. Anyway, this is not going to become a regular feature on my channel, drinking alcohol, but there's a reason. Well, not the alcohol, but the need for something cool. You see I've got a big, huge chunk of ice in there as well, trying to cool it down. And the reason is we've got this second heat wave in the UK. And it isn't quite as severe as the first, but that's a good job because that nearly wiped out half the population. I think we're all getting close to certain death. Last time we had 43 degrees. I think I looked at the thermometer earlier and it was 36. And I don't know if it's climbing, but it was certainly high, you know. And even forgetting the previous one, that is really hot. Now we are promised there's going to be thunder and rain potentially in my part of the northwest of the UK. But I think some of you in the southeast are still going to maybe have to wait for that for a few days. So we've got this very high pressure and it's affecting, again, continental Europe are getting it too. So a lot of our friends here on the live chat will be knowing exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm digressing. So you'll forgive me if I have a quick sip here, because don't worry, it's not champagne, it's not going to go to my head like last time. Hopefully. My wife's gone out, foolishly leaving some very nice chilled rosé wine in the fridge. And me around on a very hot day, a very dangerous combination. But anyway, don't worry. I'm also going to just, because it's so cold, it also creates condensation. I'm going to make sure my fingers are completely dry in the gloves. Because today, getting straight into the business, we've got a lovely kit that's been loaned to us by another one of the channel's great friends and a very regular contributor on the chat, Mr. David Mummery. A man who is, well, one of the upper crust, one of the hoi polloi, one of the more refined characters in our country. Bigging him up, but he lives in the southeast, which says it all. A very posh part of the UK. And he has come up with another kit that we haven't seen before. It's the Dornier SKYSERVANT. Now this is classic, make sure we're dry, we're all dry. This is classic of those Matchbox kits from the 70s, and this is an original 73 kit we've got here. But it's classic of the sort of, you could say, unusual choices that Matchbox made. Brave choices. Sometimes people say they're very courageous with some of their decisions. It wasn't the most popular subject, and yet they did sell because, again, you had a lovely box with great artwork and a nice kit, probably. Haven't seen it yet, haven't opened it. But it wasn't really a well-known aircraft in the UK. So the SKYSERVANT, you know, came in late 60s, early 70s. I'll zoom you in and we can have a proper look at this. Let's get cracking while I still can before I start to melt. So here it is, another really nice bit of artwork, and it says at the bottom, it's got the traditional writing, it says SKYSERVANT of the Naval Air Squadron No. 5 engaged on a low-level search and instrument training mission, clearly in the Alps in the winter. Really nice artwork, some lovely, and it's Roy Huxley's signature here. So we know we've got the main man. Now, a couple of things that are odd about this. One is that it doesn't say Dornier SKYSERVANT, it just says SKYSERVANT. Now, whether that was trying to get, you know, make people not notice it was the Dornier and maybe increase its popularity in places like Britain and France, I don't know. Not really sure what the reason was, but anyway. It's PK107, orange range. We've got some really nice pictures here, obviously, of what, we've got some interesting colours, is that right? We'll see in a minute. Orange, what is it? Orange, brown and white, by the look of it. That's a very curious mixture, but I suppose it's in the Alpine, perhaps that's what they're thinking of. Oh yeah, you can see the logic of it now. On the back, we've got the German Air Naval Station at Kiel, Haltenau in 1972. And then you've got the Swiss Red Cross with the white one, so that's probably why they've got this choice of the colours that they've gone for. And it looks quite nice, doesn't it? It's nice to get an original orange range that I've personally never seen before in my life. Now, what you're probably thinking, why is that then if you're such a Matchbox enthusiast? Well, the fact is I have seen it before. But it's one of those kits that, because, again, it wasn't really on my radar as a young boy in England in the 70s, it's not that I didn't, you know, hated it or refused to buy it. It's just that there was always something perhaps a bit more glamorous or more war-related or more sort of a bit more of a reputation, something we didn't really know, and I suspect that at that time didn't sell that many early on. I suspect they've sold more of these in later years when people have become Matchbox enthusiasts, as most of us are. Let's have a look then. What have we got? I say this is David's kit, and I think he only just acquired it recently. Oh, I think there's quite a lot off the sprue here. Yes, indeed. Orange. It's almost a McLaren Dayglow orange. Fire. Oh, yep, there's another piece. Right, what's that? Right, we'll just leave them on one side. We'll get cracking on the instructions. Oh, tell it's an original early release because it's in orange for the orange range, and you've got this sort of lithograph style image, like a silhouette almost. And what have we got here then? So, the Dornier SKYSERVANT is a development of the earlier DO27 and the DO28, and have been serviced in 20 different countries in total. General purpose aircraft has a seeking capacity of up to 12, that's quite impressive, isn't it? And it can be used for freight, rescue or police service, photographic surveys and many other specialist functions. The whole aircraft has been designed around the utmost ease of maintenance and simplicity. Its rugged construction makes it suitable for use under very adverse conditions and rough field operations, so it's obviously got a good strong landing gear, which is fixed of course. 125 SKYSERVANTs were ordered by the German Armed Forces, and the aircraft holds 6 world records under FAI rules. Wow, well that's impressive, isn't it? Okay, so a really good all-round aircraft then. I think it's often used for search and rescue, coast guards and things like that too. On the back we've got the traditional orange range instructions, where they've got the nice paint call-out colour plan guide. All your small parts are here: intakes, props, wheels and tyres, rudder, struts. And then it shows all these internal seating, up to 12, so 10 plus the pilot and co-pilot, and then the pilot figure himself, seat, and one or two other ancillary bits, and of course the ubiquitous stand. Quick mention on the stand: the owner of this kit and myself were both on the live chat of the recent Airfix Sprue Talk live show, and they were talking about instructions and most of the things, and they were getting a lot of praise because their instructions are really good now, actually. They are. But we were all asking about stands, and everybody was sort of chiming in, agreeing with me, and saying that the stands are something we all miss. Now Airfix do it on their starter sets, but I don't think they're posable. So it's something, you know, and they were saying, oh yeah, we're going to consider that. And then I asked the killer question, what about dioramas on the small armour kits? And then the Airfix representative who was typing away went a bit quiet then. There was no answer. Anyway, I persisted because I'm very tenacious, and I said, no, you should really consider this. You know, they'll sell like hotcakes. Something, and they said, well, it's not on our radar at the moment. He did come back with an answer. Not on our radar at the moment. It's something we might consider separately. Yeah, okay, but then you're sort of having to... I think they're missing the point. I think the simplicity of those stands was part of the charm, and the fact that it was just included. So younger modelers, you know, they're talking about starter sets on the aircraft. Well, this is perfect for to get young models into armour, is to have a diorama. And I'm going to keep on banging on about this because I am right. Many of you have the same view. We are correct on this. Airfix, you just need to rethink longer term. Stop thinking so short term. Stop thinking about profits. Don't get me wrong, they need to make a profit. But what I mean is, don't have this fixed... They seem to have a very fixed idea about what they can and cannot produce, and what will and won't make a profit, and what will and won't sell. And I made the point in the chat, which I think a lot of people agreed with, I think David included, where I said, look, there's a lot of nostalgia for all this Matchbox stuff, and you could really tap into that, and you'd sell... You know, people would start buying them just because they've got the diorama. It would add a reason to buy the product. So if you're watching Airfix, not knocking you at all, you're doing some great work now, but just think outside the box. Don't just focus on what your competitors are doing in 2022. Think about it in a more long-term situation, and think about things that would give you an edge in the market, and I think that would give you a big edge. But anyway, rant over. Back to the kit, to the SKYSERVANT. Right, so zoom you in. I always have to say mid-piece, but you know, I could see it was falling on deaf ears again, and I think they are missing the trick, I've got to be honest. Right then, we've got our little paint guide for the Humbrol colours on the inside, and it's dark green, sea grey, or silver, or white, basically. And then we've got, so we've got a prop airliner, basically, like a miniature airline commercial aircraft here. So you start off building up the front of the cockpit and the instrument panel. Then you're going to, hang on a minute, where do all those seats appear from? Sorry, just, can you see this? It's got one seat behind him, and then in the next shot it's all populated with lots and lots of seats. I don't quite follow that. I can't help feeling there's a small mistake has been made, because it doesn't show any more seats going in. And it doesn't say anything about it either. It just shows you putting number 6 in. I think what it should say is number 6 you put in 6 times. How odd. Anyway, moving on. So stage 2, you're putting in your windscreen, your windows and the side of the aircraft as well. It's got a cargo door, like a double door system on the port side, as you can see. Quite a nice design of plane, isn't it? Then you've got your engine nacelles and intakes and the props and spinners going on there. And then then the nacelles come in, you put that together. Then you're going to bring those in with the inboard section of the wing, which is quite small on the look of it, and your cockpit windscreen and your rudder. And then you put your tailplanes on, and you've got flaps. Hey, that's cool. Looks like they might be posable as well. Posable flaps, that's nice. And then finally you've got your gear going on. All very straightforward stuff indeed, isn't it? Whoops, sorry. So that's very straightforward, isn't it? I quite like, look at that, it's a bit weird the way they did that thing with the seats though. It just shows you putting one seat in. I mean, obviously, you know, an experienced modeller like most of us will figure it out, but this wasn't really aimed at such experienced models at the time. It was aimed at youngsters, so it's a bit confusing. Anyway, let's just see what we have. So, we'll start with the orange bits, as they are very loud and shouting at me from the corner. And we've got the decals. Let's do the decals. Decals. Oh, David, I presume David has actually got some parts and props. They're tiny, aren't they? I'll come to that in a sec. They're in a little bag. So we've got our typical mid-1973 Matchbox decals, which are actually very good decals, but sadly the backing paper is always absolutely abysmal, and this is one of the better ones, in fairness, for a 73. Reasonable condition, but still a bit browned. It's the paper that's letting it down. It's not the decal, it's the paper itself. It always has this sort of, goes to like a nasty dark brown and faded look to it. Decals still look quite nice. They probably work. I think those might be usable, in fairness. I think those might be usable. Right. Let us have a look then at these parts. So we've got our ubiquitous, what was I just saying? Our ubiquitous, beautiful Matchbox classic stand. It's the medium size one because it's in the orange range. You know, what's so hard about this? I don't know why Airfix have got this problem and why they keep running away from this. Just go back to putting stands in. You know, people say, when I mention this, a lot of you will remember the comments that you see. People say, oh Peter, you can just go and buy them. Airfix do a pack of them. Yeah, and they're awful. They are the 1960s designer stand. They're clear and they're just like the Airfix, it's like an A shape almost. They're a bit like the logo for Star Trek Starfleet. Very similar shape to that. And they're not good. They are not nice. The quality's poor in terms of the finishing, because I bought a pack of them and they weren't great. I've got to be honest, I was very disappointed. These are a light year ahead of that. And then we've seen the front kits recently and they were very good as well. They had a nice posable stand. So again, Airfix are so focused on what the competition seem to be doing. Don't do that. Just think about what people actually want. We want stands, okay, and we want pilots. That's something else I must mention as well, because otherwise I'll forget. They were talking about it on this chat and they were saying, oh, yeah, well, we don't want to do pilots because we've got a tool up for them and it complicates the process and it's a bit of an extra expense having the different types of pilots. And as I think it was Jason from Model Kit Stuff, he made a comment, quite rightly, and he said, well, why don't you just do what, he didn't name one of the other, was it Esky or somebody else? Edward, have a separate sprue with pilots on. You can have, you know, RAF pilots, your 70s, that's just one separate sprue. You just drop that in, you don't need to interfere with your own production process. They just need to rethink it. Again, it's almost like they've got these blinkers on. They won't, no, they won't go either side of it, you know. We need pilots. This is another trend that we don't appreciate, and I'm sure I'm speaking for quite a lot of you, probably the vast majority. A lot of kits now are having no pilots at all in them, and no, we don't want that. No, we want the option, we want to have the choice, we want to be able to have it, especially the smaller kits, we want to be able to have it on a stand where we can pose it. We want to have pilots. And it's all just making excuses about and really trying to cut cost. Now, you know, you've got kits now. Airfix just produced this Buccaneer, which is a beautiful kit. I haven't reviewed it simply because I'm not getting that. I'm waiting for the RAF version. We'll definitely review that one. But it's £73 retail, and it's a lot of money for what it is. I'm not saying it's not a good kit. It's very good. But it's not cheap, and I don't buy excuses about we can't do this, we can't do that, and it won't be profitable. Come on, at £73 it's profitable. Now I know they're supposed to have not only tooled, I think, but they actually injection moulded this new kit in the UK. Sorry David, I'm digressing, I know. But that's great, and I really applaud them for coming back to the UK. I think it's made them realise during COVID that if you subcontract out to China, India and all these other places, well, it's a long way away at the end of the day, and it causes a lot of problems. You know, you have a very fragile supply chain. So I'm not saying they shouldn't have done what they did. I think they've done the right thing, but it's a big jump in price. £73 for the Buccaneer, and it's only £99 for the new 24 scale Spitfire 9. Something's not really right there, is it? But anyway, let's crack on. So stands, anyway, I'm saying that David's nice Matchbox stand. That's what we want. Let's have more of that. So let's get into the orange, the papaya, because we have here the wings. Zoom you in. We've got the wings. By the way, I'm getting warm. I'm just gonna have a drink because trust me, I don't know what the temperature is in this room at this moment. Yes, I do. It's actually only 24. Feels a lot warmer, I've got to say. I think it's going up. Dry off that hand. Make sure it's all dry. Don't worry, David. There we go. All sorted. Now, interesting on this one, we've got these flaps, but we've not got any movable ailerons, which is kind of strange. Kind of an odd choice. Of course, this aircraft is one of those short takeoff and landing designs that it's prerequisite for this sort of plane, isn't it, to be able to operate from short, rough fields. So that's why the slats were added, to make it have that extra lift at low speed takeoff. So we've got two wings. Now, interestingly, it's actually the top and bottom of. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we've got a top and a bottom. Get the focus, that would be nice, there we go. Got a top and a bottom, that are already off the sprue, so why don't we just pop those together. There we go, perfect, look at that. Oh, it's a click fit, it's actually clicked together. Oh yes. I was just about to say, why don't we just pop those together and I'll just get a little dab of glue, liquid cement on it, and then, oh, no. David would not be very impressed with that. Anyway, it looks like you hardly need any because that has literally clicked together. Look at it. And this is why we love Matchbox. Look at the quality of this. There's no flash. It's got a perfect fit. Tamiya-like, the way that's just gone together. That's absolutely amazing. You see that? And that's where your flap goes in at the front. Look at the standard of the join here. Look at it. That's just clicked literally together. That is gorgeous. I'm impressed already. Let's have a look at the rest of the sprue then. Here we go. So we've got the tail plane. It's got these big sort of left and right tail planes. They're all one piece at the back here. Port and starboard. Then you've got this this area where the passenger compartment is. And then again you've got this beautiful fit. I mean, that's 1973 and that's just gone together like a 2022 Tamiya, to be quite honest. That's very nice. Pity they couldn't have had the ailerons though. That was a bit of a shame they didn't do that, but anyway. Also, it's very odd that they didn't have the same colour for the flaps to put them in on the other sprue. I'll come show you that in a second. Now we have off the sprue, we've got our fuselage. And again, the fit is absolutely supreme. Look at this. just goes together, and it's like, does it need glue? Yeah, okay, but it probably does. It's not quite sitting together and it's not clicking together, but it sits beautifully flush. Look at that. And here's your access door for the passengers. It's a nice looking model, isn't it? It's a nice aeroplane, quite an attractive plane. Again, it's one of these kits where I think if I'd have seen these, if I'd had a friend that had got one, I'd probably gone out and bought it for sure. That's very nice. Then you've got one of the crew doors, sorry, the passenger doors. Just get my hands on it. Here it is, passenger door there, which goes in like, I'm going to make a mess of this in a minute. Goes in like so. This is not as easy as it looks. It's not going to go. Okay, it's not going to do it, it's just going to be awkward for me. But it clearly goes in like that, and it is a nice fit though, it just won't rest on its own. So you get two doors like that. Then we've got the rest of the white sprue here. White sprues are always tricky to photograph. So you get your engine nacelles, you've got your engine intakes here and here. And the other door there, and you get the nacelles, and then you get your rudder here. And then you've got your pilots, so you know, Matchbox didn't have a problem. They do look like jet fighter pilots though, if I'm honest, going back to what we were just saying about Jason's idea about a separate sprue, which you've seen elsewhere. That's a good strategy. They look to me like Harrier pilots, to be quite honest, so that's not quite right. But anyway, we shan't hold that against them. Then we've got the clear parts, and there's quite a few of course, with it being a little commercial plane with lots of windows. Got nice windscreen at the front, and you've got all the windows down here at the side. Nice sprue, very nice, pretty clear. Yeah, this is actually 49 years old. This kit that's in my hand, so that's pretty good, I'd say. To be honest, it's not bad at all. Lots of little windows. They're all still on the sprue. It's a good solid sprue. No messing about at all there. Then we have got the brown parts, and before we get into that, I'll just show you these propellers that have come off the sprue. If I can just get that for you. And they are really nice. They've got a real nice twist to the props. They've got a real good profile. Beautifully moulded those are. Very nice. Let's pop them back in the bag safely. I think I'll put that door in there with them as well, because that's running loose, isn't it? But let's just pop that safely away as well. David's bag. And then finally we have got the brown sprue with all these brown parts on. So we've got, obviously the props have gone from here. They've departed company, but we've got the slats at the front of the wing. We've got the two pilot seats that have got a sink mark in them. I don't know if you can see that. And then we've got part 6, which is this bit that's really weird in the instructions. It only shows you putting one in. It doesn't say repeat or anything like that. It just says 6 and shows one seat. So there's 6 passengers. And it says you can go up to 12, so I don't know how to manage that. But anyway, there must be a bit more seating at the back that they're not showing in this particular kit, I think. There's no flash on this sprue. We've got undercarriage, which looks a bit like a JU87 Stuka to me, doesn't it? And then you've got your wheels, you've got your spinners for the props just there, and then you've got your tail wheel, and you've got your sort of inner wing section here. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's it, isn't it? Wow. That is a really, really nice kit again. So where am I at with this? Because I'm telling you now, I'm starting to melt here. I'm going to make this quick wrap up. Where are we with it? Well, what don't I like? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, that is a bit confusing on the instructions. I think a younger modeller at the time would have found that a bit strange. Maybe I'll knock off half point for that. As far as I'm concerned though, it's a 10 out of 10, but I call it 9.5 in final sum, because that was a bit daft what they did there. But it's such a nice model. It's just like some of these other ones we saw. We saw that the 30 kilowatt Chevy truck, didn't we, with the Willis Jeep. That was a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it's beautiful. absolutely stunning. So that is the Dornier SKYSERVANT from Matchbox, PK107. I'm going to call it 9.5 out of 10, but you can argue it's a 10. If you want to argue, that's fine. Thank you very much to David Mummery for sending that. The fact that it was off the Sprue is by the by, not a problem at all. And you know, built into a nice little kit, something unusual. And you can see by the way the parts go together just how nice they've designed it, you know. And that's one of their original, very first run of the orange range. So that shows, again, those of you that say, oh, Matchbox weren't all that great. Well, they were actually. Anyway, there you go. So 9.5 out of 10 from me. Hope you'll give me 10 out of 10, especially for coping in these very, very hot conditions. Quick drink. I'll take all this gear off in a second before I melt. Thanks for coming along. Hope you found it interesting. Any of you who've got similar kits, don't hesitate to send them along to us. Be very interested to see if there's anything I haven't seen before. Just let me know what you got and I'll tell you what's of interest. And I'll be very, very pleased to put it on the channel. And until next time, thanks very much for joining me. Hope you'll keep cool and keep yourself hydrated like I'm trying to do. And I understand the weather's going to sort of go back to perhaps a bit more normality in the next few days. So fingers crossed for that. In the meantime, look after yourselves. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.